My 4 and 5-year-old daughters were generously gifted the marble race game for Christmas, and they were very impatient and asked me how long it would take to get it set up. I dumped the 75 pieces on the floor, pulled up these beautiful instructions, and realized that I was screwed. Between the picture on the box and the crappy instructions, you can sort of piece it together, but it's not fast, it's not pretty, and it just doesn't work. It's not square, everything wobbles and falls apart. So after I had it put together, I decided to make my own documents to teach myself how to put it back together for when they want it built another time, and God help you if the box gets destroyed or the instructions get lost in the future. I realize there might be a few other people out there with the same problem I had, so I'm sharing this in the hopes it saves all of you some headache. There are 105 pieces in the kit, 30 are marbles, and 75 are the construction parts. You should have 4 of piece A, what I will refer to as feed trays. You're going to have 8 of piece K, which are the bases for all of the towers. You should have 37 piece L spacers. I have an extra, so I have 38. Piece B, you're going to have 4 of. These are going to need to be assembled. This is piece B. Notice the tabs in the center of the piece. These are crucial to the assembly. Next, you'll take your U-shaped piece and put it over piece B. Do not put it directly over the tabs as I showed in this picture. This is incorrect. You want the piece above the tabs. It will be closer to the side the marble enters from. The tabs are there to prevent the assembly from sliding down. This piece shows the correct orientation. Notice that the U-shaped piece butts up against the tabs. Then you're going to pop the fan blades into the cutouts and your piece B is complete. Notice the fan is mounted closer to the entry side of piece B. If you have the assembly on the wrong side, it will bind up and the marbles will not pass through. Continuing along with our inventory, you should have 2 of piece C. You should have 4 of piece D, 2 of piece E, 2 piece F, 3 of piece G, 4 piece H, and 1 piece I, and you just need to snap the top part of the loop on. It clips right in. This next section details a matrix I made as a guide to assembling the tower. If you wanted to print this matrix to keep with your game in case YouTube vanishes or you're setting the marble run up in a power outage, I'll put a link to it in the description below. And just watch this as an explanation on how to use the matrix. Hopefully it makes sense. If you just want the video instructions on how to assemble everything, feel free to skip ahead. So the matrix consists of columns, and those are going to be towers 1 through 8. And the rows are the layers of the build, from the bottom, the base pieces, to the feed trays. Tower 1 corresponds to the leftmost tower on the back of the box with the yellow base. Tower 2 is the one to the right of that, and so on. This allows the box to be a visual reference if you need it. The naming convention for the pieces is the one that came in the instructions. A letter followed by a number, either a 1 or a 2. The letter designation is the piece. We already went over all those in the inventory. The number 1 means that's the side of the piece that the marble falls in from. The number 2 means that's the side the marble exits from. So in addition to the pieces letter number combination, I added a hyphen with another number behind it. So the second designation shows the tower number and the layer level that the piece will connect to. So if it says T3.4, that means it's going to be in tower 3 on layer 4. Then the first T number is the tower, and then the decimal is the layer. So if you look in this next example, this is going to be D2, so it will be the exit piece of D will attach in this location, which is tower 4 layer 3, and it will connect to tower 3 layer 4. If we look at the matrix entry for tower 3 layer 4, we'll see the inverse is also true. So every piece on the grid other than bases, feed trays, and spacers, which have no other connections, will always be paired in this way with their mate. So we're going to set the base pieces up in the same format as they are on the box. When I constructed this, I started with the leftmost column, which starts with the yellow base and then it goes blue and red and so on. So that's the way I laid out my numbering here. You won't have this exact shape to begin with. I traced these off of a finished tower, so you'll just want to set them up in an oval. And one thing to be aware of is on these, the marble drops down the middle, spins out, and ends here. You want this piece to the outside. If you put it in the middle, your children are going to rip everything apart trying to retrieve their marbles, and then you're back to square one. So we just do them in the order they were on there. So it starts yellow, then blue, then red, then another yellow, then red, then yellow, then blue, and then we end on red. And like I said, this is pretty close to where it's going to end up. Yours will be an oval, and then as you connect the pieces that bridge one tower to the next, it will pull the shape in line, so don't stress too much about where you're at to begin with. So for level 2, it's going to be comprised entirely of the piece H, which is the orange S-curve piece. So we'll start on tower 1. Tower 1 is going to have the entry piece, and it's going to exit on tower 8, which is a little bit behind it. And then tower 2 is also going to have the exit piece. Sorry, I said that backwards. So we'll go this way. Enters on 3, exits on 2. Tower 4 will get the same piece, and it's going to enter on tower 4 and exit on tower 5. And then 6 and 7 will be connected with the last one. It's going to enter on 7 and exit on 6. That way, and then we should be there. So now the third layer is where things start to become more complicated. So we're just going to have to work through it. So on tower 1, we start with piece D, which is this one. Tower 1 gets D2, which is the exit. And it is going to connect back to tower 8. So it's going to go this way, and there's going to be a gap. So we'll fill that gap when we come to it. Tower 2 is going to get piece F, which is the squiggly one. And it's going to exit on tower 2, and the entry, I said that backwards, it's going to enter on tower 2, and the exit will be going to tower 3. So we'll put that on like this. Maybe we will. We'll see. Okay. And then on tower 4, we're going to get another D, and the exit's going on tower 4, and it's going to connect back to tower 3. So that one can go directly. There won't be a gap because we already put the piece on 3, so there goes that. And then tower 5 and 6 are going to share piece G, which is this one, and the entry is going to go on 5, and it's going to exit on 6. And then towers 7 and 8 each get a spacer. So 7 goes here, and then 8 will connect to the gap that we created just a moment ago. And that's the third layer. So level 4 is mostly going to be spacers, so it's pretty easy. So we're going to put spacers on tower 1 and tower 2. Tower 3 is already done, so we skip that one. Tower 4 gets another spacer. Tower 5 is going to get a piece B, which is the one with the spinny deal, and it's going to get the exit, and it's going to connect back to tower 4. So we just want to orient that correctly. Pop that on there. And then we get 2 more spacers on tower 6 and tower 7, and tower 8 is already complete at that level, so that's all for that level. Okay, so now we're going to start on level 5. The first tower is going to get a spacer, so we'll pop that on. The second tower is going to get another B, which is the spinner. And this one is going to end on this tower, and it's going to begin on tower 1. So it will exit here, entrance there, so you can just hook them up like such. Then we get a spacer on tower 3. Tower 4 is already at our height, so we skip it. Tower 5 gets a spacer. Tower 6 and 7 both get a spacer. And then tower 8 is going to get piece C, which is this one. And tower 8 is going to get the exit, and the entrance is going to be on tower 7. So we'll want to set that up right. So that goes there. And that's, if we can get it on there kind of square, that's what our 5th layer should look like. Alright, so layer 6 we already have tower 1 up to height. Tower 2 will get a spacer. Tower 3 is going to get piece E, which is this one, and it's going to get the outlet, E2, and it is going to connect back to tower 2. So it should go on like here. Sometimes they don't really want to go together. The molds were probably old. Then we're going to do a spacer. And then we're going to do another piece G on tower 5. Tower 5 is going to get the entry, and tower 6 is going to get the exit, so it'll just go right in like that. Tower 7 is already at height, so we skip that, and then tower 8 gets a spacer. And that's it for that layer. So on the next level, layer 7, we're going to do a little bit differently. We're putting in piece I, which is the loop-to-loop, and as you can see, I have 2 spacers here. It's going to connect from tower 1 to tower 8, and it just sort of dangles and wobbles around, so I just put the spacer in ahead of time, and we will just connect it up right here. And one thing you will see on this as I'm trying to hook it up, this is kind of wonky through here. This green piece down here is actually cut in an angle. I think it's intentional. I think it is to redirect the marble, so instead of free falling, it kind of slows itself down. So don't worry when your tubes on some of these are crooked. There's really nothing you can do about it, and I think it might have been by design, not on accident. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. Then we're already at level here, so we'll skip that on tower 2. Tower 3 is going to get piece F, which should be this guy. Tower 3 is going to get the entrance, and tower 4 is going to get the exit. So we're going to do something like that. Then we get a spacer on 5 and a spacer on 6. And then tower 7 is going to get piece E, it's going to get the exit, and it's going to connect back to tower 6. So the exit goes there, and the entrance here. God willing. And there we go. So we're on layer 8 now, so we're going to start with a spacer on tower 1. Tower 2 is going to get piece D, the exit's going to go on 2, the entrance is going to go back onto 1, so we'll just hook that up. And then we're going to have a spacer on tower 3. Tower 4 is actually complete, so we will skip this one. Tower 5 is also going to get a spacer. Tower 6 is at level, so we don't worry about that. Tower 7 we get a spacer, and tower 8 has a spacer we already put on previously, so we can ignore that. And we're done with that level. Alright, so for layer 9, the first tower already has the piece here, so we skip that. We put a spacer on 2. On number 3, we are going to take a piece B. The exit goes on 3, and it connects back to tower 2. So we just hook that up. Like so. Tower 4 is complete. Tower 5 gets a spacer. Tower 6 and 7 get a spacer. And tower 8 we already have her at level, so that is complete. Alright, so we're doing much better now. We're almost to the end, so we'll just keep on trucking. We put a spacer on tower 1. Tower 2 is going to get nothing because we are already at level. Tower 3 is now complete. Tower 4 is complete. Tower 5 we're going to put another spacer on there. Tower 6 we're going to see, and it's going to connect to tower 5. We want the you see the exit on tower 6 and the entrance on 5. So put it like that. Seven and 8 both will get a spacer. There we go, and then we are back to tower 1. Tower 1 is going to get piece B, it's going to get the exit, and it's going to connect back to tower 8. Tower 2 will get the spacer. 3 and 4 are complete. 5 is already on level. 6 is going to get a spacer. And then 7 and 8 are going to be connected by G, which is this guy, and we want the entrance on 7 and the exit on 8. And then of course connect B back in there. And that's those 2 levels done. So I had to reposition the camera. Everything was getting cut out of the frame, so I apologize for the strange angle, but we are pretty much done, so we'll just finish it out real fast. So tower 1 is done. Tower 2 is going to get a feed tray, a green one. And like the bases on these top ones, I have to get this on the outside so it's easier for the children to feed the marble here and hit the flipper so they don't knock anything down. Tower 5 is going to get a spacer and a feed ramp, so I just put them on together. And same thing, keep that to the outside. Then tower 6 is going to get a spacer. Tower 7 gets piece D. The exit goes on 7 and the entrance goes back on 6. It will go like that. And then Tower 6, we're going to do the red feed with 2 spacers, so we just pop that on 6. And then Tower 8 gets 1 spacer and the last feeding tray. And then you are pretty much done. Well, thank you for watching my video. I hope it helped you out. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below and I will do my best to answer. This is my first YouTube video, so I apologize for the inconsistent sound. I tried to adjust the volume but wasn't working. I'll have to work on that in the future. If you have any other comments, feel free to leave them down below, but please, I need you to spare my fragile feelings. Have a good day.